All right, with that being said, it is 9:30, which is the appropriate time to call the meeting to order, so we will call the main meeting of the Wood County Board of Supervisors to order. I would ask the clerk to please take the roll, and it looks as though he has done that. And at this time, I would call on Supervisor Roser to come forward for the invocation. I would ask the body to rise and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you so desire, please join me in prayer. Our Father in heaven, holy be your name. We come before you this morning with hearts heavy with the cares of this world. We acknowledge you as the creator and sustainer of life. Hear us in our hour of need. Grant wisdom, grace, and peace as we chart uncharted waters and seek to meet the needs of so many. We pray for the leaders at all levels of government. May thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. For military personnel, healthcare workers, employees across the county, state, and nation, keep us all safe under your sheltering wings. Keep evil far from us. Guide us as a governing body to remember our role as public servants. May we seek your guidance in all we do. Bless these minutes of our meeting and the day ahead. May we be mindful of your loving care all the days of our lives. Thank you for this day and the awesome privilege of serving in this way. Help us not to take the responsibility lightly. In Jesus' name we pray.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started here today, I guess I'd just like to, I know we have acknowledgement sometimes of employees for a long time service, but I want to acknowledge our employees, the staff who have been working just unbelievably hard and diligently to provide service during some pretty uncertain times. They've been here, the department heads who've been extremely cooperative and trying to move forward to get business back to normal, and then a special thanks to our health department who have worked realistically 24 hours a day to provide information to everybody. So a big thanks goes out to those people who work with us every day. With that being said, then I would entertain a motion on the minutes. Approved. Do I have that by fire? Do I have a second?
I got a motion.
I didn't even know we did those on the board. I have a motion by Hamilton on the board. Do I have a second on the board?
Second.
Al second.
Al seconds.
Okay, I can do that.
Yep.
I thought we were going to do that by voice vote. I'll get the hang of this. Okay. All right, any discussion? Any discussion? All right, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that motion carries. We have no excusals today. We have no resignations. We have some appointments, reappointments, and without objection, I would like to take those together. Any objection to that? All right, then our appointments today are the committee appointments for the 2020 term. The CDBG Housing Committee, 2-year terms for Nate Weidman and Al Bry, and then the Macmillan Library Board of Trustees, 3-year terms for Susan Feet and Bill Clendenning. And I have a motion by Hamilton. I have a second by Fisher. Any discussion? Supervisor Roser?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I assume this is supposed to say the 2020 to 2022 term?
Correct. It's just a typo there.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
Got that?
Thank you, Mrs. Rose.
My professorial attitude.
All right, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
And opposed, and that motion carries. Thank you, Al. Acknowledgements and recognitions, we will have one next month. The person who we were going to recognize is not here today due to scheduling issues. And that brings us to the part of our agenda that's normally on here but isn't listed today. The original resolution we passed said that when the governor's order expired, we would go back to normal operating procedures, which allowed for public comment. And I did have somebody who made the trip down here for public comment, and so without objection, I would certainly allow that. So, ma'am, if you would go to the microphone, if you would, right there, and Bill or
They say it's not working.
the one.
Just gotta get rid of those.
Real close.
Test, can you hear me?
We have 3 minutes of public comment.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak with you all. I met in the hallway downstairs with our Sheriff, Sean Becker, and the documents that were handed out by, thankfully, to Donna, she helped do that. My friends from Marshville and myself, we came here, we have a heavy heart. We put together this booklet. You can study this booklet. It's a lot of information, important information. Maybe you know of it already and maybe you don't. But you have a lot of power in your county here to make your decisions. So we're here today to just, and thankfully, Donna also, for doing what you did here, help me here. So I'm going to read off what the cover on your documents say. On this day, May 19th of 2020, I, Dorothy Schnitzler, living from Marshville, addressing your county board today, and I also talked with Sheriff in the hallway this morning. I'm here today to present these documents and DVDs, there's 2 of them. Very important information. And I am requesting of each and every one of you and the chairman to view these and research them for your own due diligence and your own understanding of it. And it's listed in front of you and what's the contents of it. And especially in the very end of it is this bill, HR 6666. That's very intrusive, and I don't know how far it's going to go. But we are losing our freedoms. And if you would, when it's completed, each and every one of you, to reply by letter. I have a letter in there self-addressed. And I would love to hear from each and every one of you, your thinking, your thoughts of this. So I thank each and every one of you for your time and respectfully submitted, Dorothy Schnitzler. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And since I went down this road, is there any other public comment? I don't believe so. Is there any other public comment? All right, seeing no other public comment, we'll go to the packet. Page 11 of the packet was a referral from Portage County in regard to something we just did. So it went where it was supposed to go and action was taken. That brings us to page 12 of your packet. It's the Operations Committee meeting minutes. They run, it was Tuesday, May 5th, from pages 12 to 15. I understand Mr. Clendenny, you had a comment on page 14, I believe?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is kind of confused exactly. I know it was mentioned this morning briefly at a meeting, but just what is going on with the elected officials? I attended the meeting and did see that. Well, one of the things that I asked for was if there was a possibility that Wood County could possibly get a hold of the counties association and see those people that did not get a chance to vote on the wages or salaries for those elected officials of the constitutional officers, that we could maybe be grandfathered in and be able to do that before June 1st, which is the deadline for people filing for those offices. And briefly, Mr. Chairman, you said you have something for this, and I don't want to wait till after June 1st to find out about it. I'd just like to know exactly where we are, and the main concern is, are these people in the plan or out of the plan? My idea was that in 2012, they were in the plan. When they got out of the plan, I don't know, but the last time they were out of the plan was 2020, when we were told that there was no PDQs, I believe it's called, that was requested of them because they were out of the plan. So I'd just like to know just exactly where we are on that before June 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. If I may, The June 1st date was discussed with a number of different attorneys down in Madison, and I don't think that's an applicable date based on what they've told us. The wage needed to be set by the April 15th filing date. That didn't happen, although we attempted to have a special county board meeting prior to that. That did not occur. Our employees, those elected officials, are currently in the wage plan. This is where we have a little bit of a conundrum as to which direction we go. I think it was the intent of the board back when we set the wage plan to allow those people to continue in the wage plan, whether you call it Plan 1, Plan 2, or 3, or an Addendum 2. We're still working on that down there. Our corp counsel has weighed in on this and has an opinion, and we just want to make sure that we are going the right direction, make sure we take care of those people. So ultimately, it will be a decision of this board. And then, would there be any challenges to that? And I don't know the answer to that. But I will continue, Mr. Clendenning, to have those conversations with Madison. Like I said, we have meetings every single day. Yesterday, they ran almost 5 hours, and they tended to deal with the COVID, the health department orders that have come forward, what we're going to do for it, and where dollars are going to be allocated by the state that have been passed through from the federal government in relief to government agencies and local units of government. So time's been tied up on that for the most part, but I'll continue to look into that. Do you have a follow-up?
Follow-up.
Yeah, sure, Bill.
So you said there is an opinion from your people, and there is an opinion from Corp Counsel for Wood County. My idea is Corp Counsel from Wood County indicated that they are not in the plan. Is that a true statement?
That is, I was going to say, yeah, but Peter shaking his head no. Peter said, I think that we're waiting here. Peter, why don't you, if they'll allow you to go to the microphone, I know you don't like to do that, but.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So my opinion has been that the constitutional officers we're talking about are in the current pay plan. The county only has one pay plan for its employees that are in the non-union employees. There may be some caveats to that, but in any event, there's one pay plan and those folks are in it. Those positions are in it. Those elected officials are in it. When in fact, the county may decide to establish a new pay plan for most of the employees, then my position has been that the elected officials, including the ones who aren't up for election this term, sheriff and clerk of courts, they continue in that same pay plan that they've been in. And so that's been my opinion. So I'm not saying that they're out of a pay plan, they're in a pay plan, and that, my opinion is they stay in that pay plan. Chair Plimmel's concern that maybe they should be moving into the new pay plan with everybody else, and it's like maybe, and ultimately you folks will decide that. Because I give opinions, the attorneys give opinions, you folks have a responsibility to then take those opinions and act upon them as you deem appropriate. And so anyway, that's my opinion, and again, as the chair has indicated, he plans on bringing this back in some fashion, either through minutes or a resolution to the board. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And ultimately, obviously, we always, Peter represents our county. Our county is our council. He's the person that I always refer to at the end of the day. We would just have those conversations continue so we have the right decision at the end of the day. So, to Supervisor Clendenning's point, this is something that is not going to get swept under the rug. We'll continue to work on this. All right, that was pages 12 through 15. Any other questions there, Supervisor Rosa?
I do, thank you. So with those thoughts in mind, are these elected officials going to be asked to do JDQs?
That will be a decision of the operations committee, but my guess is, if you said, what's my personal problem?
Yes.
That would be the intent. I think we want to make sure that the whole purpose of the pay plan, for those of you who weren't here when you established it, was to have pay that was commensurate both with internal and external comps to make sure that we compensate our people fairly. So in doing so, I would say that is probably a necessary component of that process. But the Operations Oversight Committee, they'll set that agenda and we'll work on that. Supervisor Rosa.
So may I, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, at this time request the chair of the operations committee to make sure that this is on the next agenda, because it takes some time to pull that JDQ together, and if we don't get that in motion, I think it's better to get it in motion and have that discussion at that committee so that the request can go.
I think you did just ask, and it could happen, the JD2 can happen at any time.
Okay.
Supervisor Wagner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Rosar, your point is well taken. I think the one point of disagreement that the corporate counsel's opinion and I are at is that his feeling is that they are in the pay plan, but any raise that they cannot accept a raise during their term of office, and a JDQ might in fact do that. I mean, I think we need to hash that subject out in there. I think he may be right, which it pains me to say, but it is. And they can do JDQs, but I'm not sure they can do it. My feeling is that if, for some reason or another, the state legislature changed the nature of the jobs or ascribed different responsibilities to them, then I think there might be a justification to do that, but at the present, I don't see a justification. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Fisher?
Actually, Supervisor Wagner stole my thunder, so I was going to say just some similar comments. I think we need to really understand what the rule of the law is. I believe very strongly the state statutes dictate that it has to happen before April 15th. I personally think they are in the current wage plan, but I think we need to have a philosophical conversation both at the operations committee and ultimately the county board before we were to ask them to do a JDQ. Thank you.
Supervisor Clendenning?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank you all the response on this. I just think that, I would like, just as a point of order, I would like to know if department heads are on and listening in and who it is, and also, I guess there's one county board supervisor. But my point is, I think if anything has to go to the operations committee about JDQ, I think who will make that recommendation is human resources.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a list of everybody who's on the call?
At least those that are connected to.
Connected to the web? Okay. Do you want to read them off? Or Mr. Clendenning?
For the board.
Just department heads are all.
You want everybody, Bill, or just the department heads?
Just the department.
Just department heads.
We have Amy Kaup, Brandon Verwink, Cindy Justin, Chad Schuley, Ed Newton, Heather Garrett, Jason Grunenberg, Jason Hausler, Jordan Bruce, Kim McGrath, Marissa Laher, Ruben Van Tassel, Rock Larson, Roland Hawk, Sean Becker, Steve Cruiser, Tiffany Ringer, and that's all.
Okay.
We do have some call-ins that I'm unsure of.
I believe we're through pages 12 through 15. Gets us to page 16 in the packet, and that's the beginning of the Health Insurance Ad Hoc Committee meeting minutes from 2/18, 3/12, and 4/28. That's pages 16 through 19. Are there any questions there? We have a letter of comments from the county clerk on 20, from the deputy finance director on 21. Revenue reports and income statements from finance on pages 22 through 27. 22 through 27. The Human Resources Department monthly letter of comments on 28 through 32. 28 to 32. Give you a minute to see if you had any notes there. Our treasurer's report on 33. And that brings us to page 34 in the first resolution of the packet. I believe we have 5 of these, don't we, Trent, that are all budget adjustments. Is there any objection to us taking these 5 budget adjustment resolutions together? Supervisor Clendenning.
Is page number 37, page number 37, the UW one of those that you want to take collectively?
I think that's 38.
Okay, you'd like that one pulled and taken separately?
Yes, I will.
All right, so let's first act on those other 4, if that's okay.
Page 38.
Yeah, 38.
All right, we'll leave the, that one out and Trent will do the other 4.
Okay, first resolution on page 34 will become Resolution 20-5-1 to amend the 2019 budget for Norwood Health Center for additional revenue and expenditures unanticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County. The adjustment to the budget totals $265,340. Resolution 20-5-2 to amend the 2020 Sheriff's budget for additional expenditures for the Sheriff's Department that were unanticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, the adjustment to the budget totals $85,000. Resolution 20-5-3 to amend the 2019 budget for coroner for additional expenditures unanticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, to transfer $315 from available balance in contingency to the coroner function. At the time of this request, the funds available in contingency are $233,639. The adjustment to the budget totals $6,915. Resolution 20-5-4 to amend the 2019 budget for transportation and economic development for additional revenue and expenditures unanticipated during the original budget process. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County. The adjustment to the budget totals $4,162.
Thank you, Trent. I have a motion by Hamilton, I have a second by Wagner, and Mr. Wagner.
Yes, I've been asked to call to the attention of the board that on page 36, on the resolution concerning the coroner's fund, there is a Scrivener's. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, I had to look it up after Peter told me what it meant.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, well, thanks for telling me and not giving me a chance to look it up. But anyway, there's a Scrivener's error in the first whereas. Instead of unanticipated, it should be anticipated. And I make note of that and make sure they know the rule.
Thank you very much. All right, any discussion? Any discussion? I would ask you to please vote. Al? Supervisor Bry votes in the affirmative. Dave, yours isn't in yet.
Mine says connect to server.
Supervisor LaFontaine, do you want to vote by voice?
Yes.
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 All right.
Yes.
Couple of yeses there. Supervisor LaFontaine also voted in the affirmative. That resolution passed unanimously. I thank you very much. That will bring us to resolution, I think that was 1-5 that we pulled from the packet. And we'll let the clerk get up to that, and then we'll read that and move forward.
Okay. This will be Resolution 20-5-5 to amend the 2020 budget to include monies that were budgeted in 2019 for UWSP Marshfield, but were not used during the budget cycle. In addition, increase 2020 budget as approved by the Operations Committee for higher than anticipated costs. Fiscal note, to transfer $15,000 from available balance in contingency to the UWSP Marshfield function. The 2019 monies were budgeted and moved to the fund balance at the end of 2019. At the time of this request, the funds available in contingency are $450,000. The monies will be expended in 2020. The adjustment to the budget totals $52,000.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Move.
I have a motion by Bry, a second. I have a second. That's still Al coming in. And I have a second by Roser. And I believe Supervisor Roser, you had comment on this or not?
Well, I do. I'd like to wait to see.
Or
what
Supervisor
Mr.
Clendenning,
Clendening's
you wanted to
question
just
is.
pull?
I was just assuming you go first.
You would like to go
That was
first.
actually mine.
May I approach the thing just so everybody
Sure.
hears what I've got to say? So thank you, Mr. Chairman. So let me explain to you what happened. As chair of the UW Commission, we knew that the greenhouse project was going to come in a little over budget. In 2019, we had budgeted $37,000 for the greenhouse project. That cost, because of vendor selection, it just took longer to find somebody to do the project. And so when the bids came in, they came in higher than that original budgeted $37,000, which was budgeted in 2019. So we, during the budget discussion, asked to go up to $52,000. So that would have been $37,000 carried over from the 2019 budget, and then an extra $15,000 to be budgeted in 2020. So we heard from the vendor, and they were going to go ahead and start the project, and Brian Panzer, who's our maintenance person, emailed the county and the city, and Ed Newton, who's our deputy finance director, could not find the $52,000 in the budget. So we looked at all kinds of documents. There were multiple documents that indicated that the executive committee at the time had approved $52,000, but the extra 15 was not budgeted in 2020. So we knew that the commitment was made for the $52,000, but it had inadvertently been left out of the budget. And I'm not willing to throw anybody under the bus, so I'm not sure exactly how that happened. But we've got documentation that the $52,000 was approved for this project for 2020. That means $37,000 was carried over from 2019, and then an additional $15,000. So I went before the operations committee and explained what the situation was. The commitment was made for $52,000. We have multiple documents that show that it was discussed in May at the budget discussion that we had about CIP. Somehow it just didn't get in the budget. So that's why the UW Commission is now coming before this body, because the city has already promised their half of the project. And so we believed that because there was documentation that the $52,000 had been approved, that we needed to honor that commitment and ask for the $15,000 from contingency. So I appreciate you supporting that. The greenhouse project is ready to go. We just need to do what we had promised to do in the budget and didn't get put in there. Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Clendening, did you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm voting against this, and I have been against this ever since the UW Marshfield Wood County took Wood County's name off of this. And I would go to Ray Cross, who is the president of the university. And Ray Cross, ever since 2017, has been doing this. They've been lowering it, and what it states in it, it's off the internet, so I'm not going to read it. But anyways, Chancellor Bernie Peterson, who is from the UW Stevens Point, is objecting to this also. The UW system is going around excluding counties, excluding people, and for what? And in this time, why would we want to put in a garden? I don't know what it is that we have to put in a garden. I was one, I hammered people for money for the STEM building because it used to be the UW Wood County Marshfield, and that was fine. And after they got the money for it, bang, we're off the name. It's just like Buren that Buren Park was supposed to be the Wood County Buren Industrial Park. And guess what? They took our name off it, and all the time and money we spent on that. Why can't our name be on there? And I think we should drop out of this and not pay this. Thank you.
Supervisor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would be voting for this because I do think we need to follow the commitment that was made. Since Supervisor Rosar says that there was documentation showing that we had promised this, I will support it. But I do want to agree with Supervisor Clendening on one point. I too was disappointed when Wood County's name was taken off of the UW campus. I would have preferred to keep it on. I think having that connection with the counties are very important, but I see this as two separate issues. I think we do need to follow through and honor the commitment. Thank you.
Supervisor Hahn first, and then I'll go to Supervisor Ashbeck.
I'm going to be voting in favor of this. And I think, you know, it might be regrettable Wood County's name is not on UW Marshfield anymore, but it's just semantics. The county still benefits from all the great things that are going on at the UW Marshfield. So as I said, I'm going to be voting in favor of this. And I just don't think that the name of it is, you know, all that big of a deal. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Ashbeck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has all happened because the University of Marshfield is not independent anymore. They're under the Stevens Point with Wausau. That they had to take the name off of because we're 3 units now instead of independent. We're part of the University of Stevens Point as Wausau is, where we were independent before.
I don't think that the name change didn't change the structure, if that's your question, and I'm not sure. I'm trying to relate that to the resolution, Bob. Was there a question that, or Supervisor Ashbeck, that is specific to that? Did you grasp that different, Supervisor?
Well, I think, I'm sorry, if I may, please. I thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that Mr. Ashbeck's question was, did this budgetary oversight occur because of the, and it did not. It did not. This was a budgetary oversight on Wood County's part for not allocating.
Well, but I mean taking the name off though.
Oh, yeah, and that's a different issue. Actually, the UW Commission had input into that, and that's a whole nother issue, and that may be discussed at another time, that naming, but this particular resolution had nothing to do with the umbrella occurrence.
Supervisor Clendenning? You guys don't hold me, everybody has to speak first. I'm pretty good on the conversational end of it, so Bill, if you go ahead. Supervisor Clendenning?
You know, you people have got to realize, and of course this is my opinion since 2017, what is happening with the UW system. For one thing, we used to have Peter Manley here. And now Peter Manley's job, what he used to be, was given to 4 people because they're downsizing the UW system. But they're not really downsizing it, they're getting into government. And this community has given the UW system $25 million by a person right here in Wisconsin Rapids. $25 million over a 4-year package, and I say, in my prediction, within 5 years, they will be running county boards. And if you read it on the internet, it's on the internet, and it's from Ross, or that person I mentioned.
Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? All right, I would ask you to go to the board here in a second, and please vote. Mr. Bry, Supervisor Bry.
Yes.
Supervisor Bry votes in the affirmative, and that resolution passes 16-3. Thank you for your vote. Brings us to page 39, Resolution 1-6, which deals with the strategic plan.
This will be resolution, well, hold on.
1-6.
Yeah.
And the strategic plan is directly behind it, pages 40 through 53.
This will be resolution 20-5-6 to approve the Wood County Strategic Plan. Fiscal note, none.
All right, I have a motion by Fire, I have a second by Hamilton. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Valentine.
Thank you, Chairman. My question is, do we need to approve this plan as written? Can changes be made to the strategic plan after the wording? Specifically, the vision statement, I think, lacks a lot of clarity and could use some editing. I have a recommendation, if you're interested in hearing it. Instead of what it currently is, if it would read, make Wood County a community of choice with safe and vibrant neighborhoods, businesses, educational services, and cultural opportunities, which would make it an action statement that describes something we're doing rather than now I think it's just confusing. Also, the semicolons don't make any sense.
Okay, so I guess the first comment is a plan is fluid, so that can be done, but we can do that, we could do that here too, if that's, in the wish of the body. So I don't have that in front of me, and you don't need to read, Trent.
I don't know what she has, no.
Well, can you read that back?
Sure. So do you want to hear the vision statement as it currently is? So the vision statement as it currently is states, our local government provides outstanding service, making Wood County a community of choice with safe and vibrant neighborhoods, business, educational, and cultural opportunities, connectedness, and vitality.
So you're just changing it.
Right. I realize this is just kind of a professorial comment.
She get the two of you together ahead of time.
Why?
Those
Let me keep
semicolons,
this
man.
conversation, I'll come right back to Supervisor Balsite. Supervisor Wagner?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Supervisor, I understand what you're trying to do in that, and I agree with it. I've sat through, I don't know how many master plans or plans in my life. I think making it an action statement is a good idea. And with that, I'd like to move the replacement of the current action statement with the substitute proposed by Supervisor Bell.
Did you get it?
Supervisor Balsite, will you read that back and then we'll have you provide that written document to the clerk?
Yes.
Slowly.
Mostly because I was reading the Marshfield vision statement, which is really concise, and I think very good.
We're looking for vision, so.
Yeah. My vision is make Wood County a community of choice with safe and vibrant neighborhoods, businesses, educational services, and cultural opportunities. Period.
Yeah, period. Okay.
You email that to me, right?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
You'll email that to me, Laura?
Yes.
That is shorter, more concise.
Yeah.
All right, so are you offering that as an amendment?
Yes.
And I have a second to that amendment? By Supervisor Zerfel, can you get off the board? All right. Any discussion on the amendment?
I just wanted to make one comment.
Balsite made the motion, Zerfel seconded. All right, now that's the amendment. And now I'm on discussion of the amendment.
Right.
Supervisor Rosa.
So I agree with you, and I don't think it changes the vision substantively, but it does clarify it, and I appreciate that editing of, yeah, that's great, thank you.
And it cleans up the punctuation.
Yep.
Is there any other discussion on the amendment? Any other discussion on the amendment? All right, all in favor of the amendment, please signify by aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Alan, was your vote the affirmative for the amendment?
Yes.
Thank you. We just got that little bit of delay. All right, so now we have the strategic plan, the resolution as amended. Is there any discussion on the resolution as amended? Any discussion? Okay, I would ask you, as soon as Trent gets there, he's still typing away.
Okay. Go.
All right, please vote. Supervisor Bryan?
Yes.
Thank you. And that resolution passes unanimously. And if the clerk didn't keep kicking me to remind me Supervisor Bryce on the WebEx. Supervisor Curry?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a question about housekeeping. So now we've got an approved strategic plan. Do I assume the operations committee is going to be in charge of this for the future?
That's what the strategic plan is.
Supervisor Rosa are shaking her
Somebody
head.
else want it?
Are we going to have changes? I mean, any change can happen at the county board level, I understand that. But it's certainly a document that should be reviewed at some point, semi-annually, annually.
I think the operations committee is probably the appropriate place, but obviously suggestions from members of the board would be greatly appreciated. And they could come out of other committees as well. Supervisor Rose, do you have?
And any changes we brought back to the board.
Correct.
That's true.
Thank you.
So I think, and I don't have the document right in front of me, I'm sorry, I can't bring up that first page, but if you look at the first page at the bottom of kind of the introductory statements, it does say that this is kind of a fluid document and that the operations committee will actually do I don't know why I can't pull it up, that they will review it every 5 years for substantive changes. But we're hoping that what happens is now this strategic plan will go before each oversight committee, and the departments will take a look at it to kind of align what they're doing with the mission and vision and the things that are in there. So I would encourage everybody who's chair of an oversight committee to maybe put this on their agenda to kind of look at it and make sure that their departments that they oversee are looking at the strategic plan, make suggestions about how it's supposed to be changed, and then the operations committee is to kind of make sure that this is reviewed in a timely manner and definitely every 5 years. Does that answer your question? Thank you.
Supervisor Ryder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To address Mr. Curry's concern, one thing I noticed in the plan is that there are different categories of goals and aspirations in there that sometimes would speak directly to some of our functional committees.
Mm-hmm.
And if the functional committees find within that there's something that needs to be added or deleted or modified, they can certainly bring that before the board, or they can bring it before operations if they wanted to. But again, if there's something, anybody from the board can bring it up. Any committee of the board can bring it up. So I know operations will have to look at it in total review in 5 years, but anything that happens in the meantime that makes anything in that plan irrelevant or inaccurate, if your committee has oversight on it, bring it up to the board.
I found it.
You found what?
I found my sentence.
Okay.
May I read it?
Supervisor Rozar.
So it says, to remain relevant, this 5-year plan should be reviewed annually and updated as needed with a comprehensive review by the Operations Committee in 2024. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments on the strategic plan? I recommend we all read it. All right, that brings us to page 54 in your packet and resolution 1-7.
This will be Resolution 20-5-7, to amend the 2020 budget for the Wood County Maintenance Department by transferring $75,000 from Buildings Maintenance Retained Earnings Account to pay for the purchase of vacant land at 411 East Jackson Street in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. Fiscal note, transfer $75,000 from Buildings Maintenance Retained Earnings Account.
And I have a motion by Hamilton, I have a second by Clendenning. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Supervisor Clendenning.
I would just ask the Corporation Council, I should be voting on this.
Well, because he's on the board of the cultures.
May I speak?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. So this is the question really is, do I abstain or not? And because it's my understanding that Supervisor Clendenning is a member of the Cultural Center and possibly on the board of the Cultural Center, he shouldn't be involved in any kind of negotiations or approval of them at this stage, and he really should be abstaining from that. So his second shouldn't take place. Good question from my left. And so someone else should be seconding that motion. He should be abstaining and requesting to abstain from the board. Thanks.
Okay, Supervisor Clendenning, then obviously you just heard that. I assume you withdraw your second,
Yes.
and you will be abstaining on this issue.
Yes, I will.
And Supervisor Ballantyne seconded this resolution. All right, all that being said, any further discussion? Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, please vote. Supervisor, on every one of these trying to say, don't forget Supervisor Bride. Supervisor Bride.
Yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Winch, your vote is not in yet. Okay, and Supervisor Winch votes no. We have all the votes in then with Supervisor Clendenning abstaining, so that vote was One abstained, one against, 17 in favor, so it passes. Thank you very much. All right, Human Services, Health and Human Services Committee, pages 55 and 56, their meeting of April 30th. Report from the Health Department, and like I said before this meeting started, they have been working nonstop on this, and they are in constant contact with our supervisors, with the different departments within the county, who've used them as a resource with emergency management, and then providing weekly updates to the entire community. So their April report, pages 57 through 61, not exactly in order. Supervisor Lightnum?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think when Lisa read the roll, who was on WebEx, I think Sue Comferman is not with us electronically today, but is there anybody that can update? I know there's been an uptick in cases in Wood County. You know, initially we were hearing 2 all along. It went to 6, and now the most recent letter from Sue is that it's at 8. Do we have anything further on the status of COVID-19 in the county?
John? Go ahead.
Sue had passed on to me last night the document that I forwarded to you last night already, and then I had printed that out and put it on your desk as well. That was the update that my understanding was.
So as of last night, unless something changed, we had 8 total positives. That does not include those who have recovered already. We have 2 who recovered. And I understand that if not all, the vast majority of those were familial contact. Family members, those very closely associated. Donna, did you have any other update? Sue contacts me constantly. I had not seen another update this morning that would have been for that. So the infection rate in the county is around 0.04%. So extremely low, and we hope we can contain it in that regard and keep it down there. Supervisor Rozar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, with the partial reopening of our county, Sue and I did go on WDLB on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock and appealed to the public to be wise, be smart. If people want to stay home, they're supposed to stay at home, and we want to protect the vulnerable people. But I guess that's the only comment that I would make, and I don't know why Sue isn't on the call. I don't know, but I think that's the point that she wants to make, is that she doesn't want to have to issue an order to shut things down. So we as a public need to be very responsible as we partially open our county and make sure that we're wise in the things that we do so that we can continue to incrementally begin to resume some kind of sense of normalcy in our county. We actually have been very fortunate in our county with the number of cases and no deaths in our county. It's been a real positive thing, and we certainly don't want to see an uptick of cases, but as we test more, I think we will see some more, because it'd be like if we tested everybody for MRSA. There's a lot of people that colonize MRSA, and our cases would go up in the county. So we need to make sure that we responsibly, wisely, and smartly do the things that we do in the next weeks ahead. Thank you.
And then if you look additionally, those COVID-19 updates come out at least once a day from the WCA updating, and all of you are on that email list, so you should be getting those and should be able to access them. But to this point, we've been lucky. We've provided toolkits to businesses as to how they should look at opening, or the considerations they should have, and safety precautions put in place. So we've been working with the business community very closely. Supervisor Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we had a meeting with the fair last night. We were going to wait until July 5th to make a decision. But what do we want? Do we want to have the fair open to all these people to come in? That's only 3 months away. With restrictions on, we're going to have losing fair. So we're kind of in a situation, if the county says we're going to be open, I mean, it's up to the fair board to make a pretty tough call here. And what would you people, what would your idea think? Should we have the fair and open the county up for 6 days of bringing all these people in, or should we restrict it or have no fair at all? I mean, we need some help from you people too.
Supervisor Klein. Let me go to Supervisor Klein. Are we done, Bob? Supervisor Ashbeck, are you finished at the time? All right. I think Supervisor Ashbeck's done. Supervisor Klein, do you want to go first? I do have Sue Comfort on the line now also.
Oh, yeah. Now, yeah, I get good calls on this a lot, and what is the county doing? And I email what I get from the county to those people, which I feel is very helpful. But for a situation like that, that's just like saying, it's up to you people here on the county board, or Sue Kupperman, as to whether we have the Fireman's Jamboree in the town of Grand Rapids, or whether we have Pumpkin Day in Nakusa, or whatever we have. I don't think it is up to this county. I think it's up to Sue Kupperman, whatever she decides. Is that not a true statement?
Generally speaking, yes. I mean, each organization is going to need to make their own decisions.
Right.
The health department provides guidance, and as you saw the other day, both Brown County and Manitowoc County immediately enacted again at a county level what was the state order from Secretary Palm, and it was immediately vacated because they realized it was not defensible in court. So this becomes a organizational decision, and with guidance provided by our health department. Now, if there is an outbreak of some concern in some particular area, then our health department can deal with that on a case-by-case basis. I hope that answers the question. So Bob, I guess from a FAIRS situation, I would consult with the health officer. I would seek guidance, but that's a decision that we're gonna have to make. And those are day-by-day decisions. We're dealing with them everywhere. Our departments within the county, the courthouse, the River Block building, and throughout the community. Supervisor Curry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I realize maybe the public and maybe even this board is not aware of some things that are going on, not on the health issue that SEED has. I don't know if we want to recognize Jason Grunenberg, but there is a task force that existed before the COVID-19, a roundtable they called it, of the chambers and people in Wood County. That roundtable has been meeting weekly now about masks and how businesses are going to be able to reopen. So there's things that the county's doing that's probably not even aware in this room, probably the public isn't aware of it, but the county is involved in that. I don't know if we want to recognize Jason, if he can hear this and add to that, or.
Jason, if you're on, you want to add to that, that's fine. We also have a meeting every Thursday in the EOC where we update all the local government officials and health officials weigh in on that. But Jason, if you're there and you want to make a comment, feel free.
I'm going to start a shift at this meeting on a weekly basis, and that involves many individuals, organizations in the county that are impacted by COVID right now, and I have the influence on economic development in the county. I guess what we're trying to do is work together in the same direction rather than having everybody work independently. We're trying to make sure businesses are getting what they need out there to survive COVID and to possibly reopen. There's a huge challenge out there right now. I mean, obviously on the health side, but just as great on the business side. As a quick would funnel a lot of our messaging through the chambers, the Marshfield Chamber, as well as the part of Wisconsin Chamber in Wisconsin Rapids. So another thing we're doing is programs out there, stimulus too. We're trying to make sure businesses have access to those and have individuals going through the help and navigating this. So again, we are meeting on a weekly basis every Thursday, and we hope to make, help businesses along, get back on their feet as things start to open up again here. Thank you.
As long as I have Sue Kupperman on the line. Sue, do you want to give an update?
I was just on the phone previously and I was hurrying, couldn't hear me.
Can you tell her that we can't understand her? Sue, we can't understand you. You sound gibberish, garbage. I'm sure that's not a word, but you know what I mean. Garble.
It's most likely your internet connection. Can you use your phone for audio?
I was on the phone. I'm in my office right now. I was on the phone, but you couldn't hear me even when I was unmuted. I can try calling in again.
That's better.
That's better.
Keep going, Sue. We can kind of understand it now.
Okay. I'm sitting in my office. It seems to be an internet issue.
That's
So,
not.
essentially, I've been listening the whole time that the answers have been appropriate from Lance and Donna. I would just add that our epidemiologist is putting together a dashboard for me to look at every day. And we are looking at criteria, we're looking at cases as they're coming in and whether they were track related or not. So taking all of that into account, we do have the ability to issue local orders. We have the ordinance in place and everything we need to be able to do local orders and to enforce them. So our goal is reaching out our guidance to businesses. Our hope is that people will follow the guidance. We won't any problems. But if we do, we're prepared to issue mass gathering ordinances or whatever we need to do to deal with specific problems that might arise.
Thank you. Were there any other questions there? And I have the following 6 pages, roughly 4 or 5, 6 pages on the March report from the Health Department. Not sure how that ended up in that order, but any questions of the Health Department while we have the director on the line? Okay, thank you, Sue. And like I said, there are a lot of resources out there. It's almost hard not to get an update every 5 minutes by email, on the news. So pay attention and log on to, get into your email, read those updates, and you'll probably be more informed than most people within the community. It takes me to the Wood County Human Services Department report. This is the April 23rd report. It starts on page 65 and runs through page 73. Page 65 through 73. Are there any questions there? The CVSO's report on 74 and 75. And that brings us to the resolution on page 76, and I would ask the clerk to please read that.
This will be Resolution 20-5-8 to support the 116th Congress Senate Bill 3020 and House of Representatives Bill 5516, the Commitment to Veteran Support and Outreach Act, the CVSO Act. Fiscal note, none.
Okay, I have a motion by Hamilton. I have a second by Fire. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? All right, seeing none.
Wind. Bill, Winch.
Oh.
Hands off. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, please vote.
Kind of like
Supervisor Bride.
the green flag.
Yes.
Thank you. I want to shout that out every time. That resolution passed unanimously. Thank you. All right, as we move on the packet, page 77, minutes of the Public Safety Committee, Tuesday, April 28th. The coroner's report on page 78 brings us to another resolution on page 79.
This will be Resolution 20-5-9 to settle former Sheriff Reichert's lawsuit against the county for a benefit the county does not believe him to have been eligible for. Fiscal note, $3,000. The funds for this settlement would come from the OPEB sick leave conversion to health account. This account is located within the Finance Department. For 2020, $500,000 was budgeted for this account, so the settlement is not likely to put this account over budget.
All right, I have a motion by Hamilton. I have a second by Zerflu. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Is there any discussion on this resolution? All right, hearing or seeing none, I would ask you to please vote. Mr. Bride, Supervisor Bride. Why don't you just go ahead?
Yes.
Thank you, Val. That resolution passed unanimously. Thank you. You ready to go down the packet? Page 80 in the packet, I have minutes of the Seed Committee, Tuesday, April 28th. Pages 81 through 86 are Seed minutes from Wednesday, May 6th, 81 to 86. We have various minutes from the Golden Sands Resource Conservation Development Council, beginning on page 87 and running through page 96. Mr. Clendeni, you have any comments there?
Yes, I will try to get these minutes back faster than they happen. And we're not having a meeting, we're having a virtual, so it'll be by phone, but I'm kind of upset about this. We've asked for it. that we could have it for the next meeting. We're having one Thursday now, and I think by the next county board meeting, we should have those in. We shouldn't be waiting. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. I know you've been working on that over time and trying to get those more expeditiously. Page 97 in your packet begins the seed committee report. The report from UW Extension anyway, 97 through 101. The update from Extension for April 2020, 102 through 108. Brings us to the April staff report from Land and Water, beginning on 109 and running through 114. Same reports from Planning and Zoning on 115 through 120. We have some proposals there on 121. We have from the Planning and Zoning Office, pages 122 through 127, and this is the preliminary county plat of the Hidden Chapel subdivision. Any questions on that? If I go to page 128, I have the Economic Development Roundtable. This is one of the things that Jason was talking about earlier. That's 128, 29, and 30. Any questions there? Same deal, April 30th, on page 131, 132, and 133. Meeting of May 7th on 134 and 135. I think what's important to note here, and this is what Jason stressed, is every department in the county is basically working on the issue that we're dealing with right now, whether it be economic development, whether it be health, and generally every other committee out there. So I want the public to know if they watch this at some point. This is not something that isn't being looked at minute by minute throughout the county. And I tend to get emails, I'm sure some of you do, at midnight, 1 in the morning, from people that are still working on it. So that is one of the places it's happening. Judicial and Legislative Committee, Tuesday, April 28th, on 136. That same committee minutes from May 8th on 137, 8, and 9. Criminal Justice Coordinator Ad Hoc Committee minutes on 140 and 141. Child Support Agency report on 142. Court Counsel on 143. Register of Deeds, 144. There's a Notice of Injury claim on 145. And then that brings us to page 146 in your packet, which is another resolution brought forth by the JNL.
This will be Resolution 20-5-10, to present the elected state officials the results of the referendum supporting nonpartisan legislative redistricting. Fiscal note, none.
I have a motion by Hamilton, I have a second by Wagner. Is there any discussion on the resolution? Any discussion? Supervisor Rosen.
So I would like to offer an amendment. On the third whereas, it says the Wood County Board of Supervisors feels that it's elected legislators, blah, blah, blah. I would like to change that word feels to believes. I am not really a big fan of the word feels, so I would like to say, I would like to change that to the Wood County Board of Supervisors believes that it's elected legislators.
Okay, so I have an amendment offered by Supervisor Rosar. Is there a second to the amendment? Anybody? Supervisor LaFontaine. Discussion on the amendment to change the one word from feels to believes. Any discussion? All right, all in favor of the amendment changing the word from feels to believes, please signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That was an aye, I'm sure. I'm not opposed, but I'm approved. And I should ask every time, Trent forgot to kick me on that one. All right, so we're back to the original resolution as amended with the change of the word feels to believes. Is there any discussion on the amendment on the resolution as amended? On the resolution as amended. Any discussion? All right, please vote. Supervisor Bride.
No.
All right, that resolution passed 18-1. 18-1. Thank you. Moving on to the packet, page 147, Highway Infrastructure Recreation Committee of April 28th. That's 147. Beginning on 148, their minutes from May 7th, that's 148 through 152. 148 through 152. Comments from the Highway Commissioner on 153 through 157. 153 to 157. Comments from the Parks Department, 158 to 162. 158 to 162. And then the Property Information Technology Committee, the Tuesday, April 28th minutes, that was their org minutes on 163. The Aging Disability Resource Centers minutes from February 13th on 164 to 166. The South Central Library System Board of Trustee minutes from 326 on 167 through 169. All right, that takes us through the packet. The next meeting is set for June 16th. You know, we just said earlier, it's kind of day to day. You know, at that point, I'm hoping we're kind of back to normal. I don't know, I have that hope every day. We'll play it by ear. We'll see what we can do, but at that point, we may be able to go back to normal seating and public attendance. We'll monitor day by day with the guidance from our health department. As I recommend all businesses in the community do, you know, social organizations and everybody else out there. I'm sure your phones have been ringing off the hook. Mine have. Can I open this? Can't I open that? What should we do? And I refer back to the health department. So, anything else that needs to come before this board? Anything else? Do you want to do a motion to adjourn? I can just do it. All right. I will declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.